Hey everybody, it's time for a bit of a catch-up. Let's talk about what I've read, what I'm reading, and what I plan to read in the very near future. Let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing very, very well. I say that and then I know with everything going on, it's hard to quantify what doing well means. I am a bit stir crazy. I'm sure you guys are a bit stir crazy too. We're trying not to go out, but as I have said to a number of my friends, all I want to do is go to Target and purchase a ton of items that I don't need. I don't know why, but Target has always been the place that my husband and I have gone to when we just want to walk around, sort of get ourselves out of the house. So there you go. That's my dream. I'm also, if you guys are new to working at home like I am, now I've worked at home a day or two here or there, but I've never been a person who has worked at home 100% of the time. And I'm actually having quite an issue with separating home and workspace. Now, if I were to flip this camera around and sort of point you in that direction, that is actually my work desk. Now, there's my computer, my extra monitor, my printer, my keyboard, everything is over in that direction. So I'm actually having a bit of trouble wanting to come back into this room to do bookish things because I associate this room, the office currently, with work, which I'm really struggling with. And this is the only space, right, that I can do it because I can't do it like in the kitchen at the table because Dan is here as well. I'm on the phone. I constantly need no distraction. So this is the space. So I'm trying to mentally get over that hump and not associate this room only with work to really remember what it is for. And it is for books and reading and booktube and celebrating that all with you guys. So let's get started on this video. That was a long sort of tangent of stuff. So today we're going to talk about 2 books that I've read recently, 2 books that I'm currently reading, and then 2 books that are on my very near TBR. I'm super excited to tell you about all of these books. So as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you're so able, please order books from your local independent bookstores right now. I know that a lot of them are doing free shipping. They're, trying to keep business going. So please, 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 if you can. I know that not everybody can. So if you are using your library, I've heard the digital libraries are up and out there, and I hear very well that they are taking care of business. So use them too, if you so can. Okay, so let's get started with the last 2 books that I've read. So furthest back, we are going to talk about the fantastic, the fabulous Deacon King Kong by James McBride. Now, I've talked about this book a couple times on my channel, and now that I finish it, I realize that I absolutely did not do it justice when I talked about it in the beginning. So James McBride wrote the book, The Good Lord Bird, a couple of years ago, and it was a smashing success. I believe it won the National Book Award. I think it won the Tournament of Books, and I really liked it. I struggled a little bit with the reading because it had a very distinct dialect I don't do 100% well. I need to listen to it. And when that book was out, I wasn't a huge audiobook listener. So I think that would have really helped me with that book. But this book is brilliant. And I realize now that I need to do a better job of telling you guys about it. So what is this book about? This is about a small community in New York. And it's about the people in that community. We have people that have been there for a very long time, members of the local church, and we have new young people that are creating their own sort of name in the community. What sort of is the impetus or the center of this book is that our main character, his name is Sportscoat. He is a deacon in his local church. His wife has recently passed, and he is currently still having conversations with her, and they sort of berate each other. She was in charge of the church's Christmas fund money, and it has gone missing, and so are he and she continue to have this argument. But what really starts the book is that one day Sportscoat goes up in the middle sort of square of this community, and he starts talking to this young kid that has been an important part of the community. He was a member of the local baseball team and had a really bright future, but has now become a drug dealer. And out of nowhere, Sportscoat pulls out a gun and shoots this kid. Now, he doesn't kill him. It actually just sort of grazes his ear, but it sort of sets off a bunch of different events. It sets off a couple of things. Sportscoat's reputation in the community changes. Now, he, without spoiling anything, his recollection of this event is different than what actually happened. It turns out he has a huge issue with alcohol, which is actually what King Kong stands for. King Kong is a locally brewed alcohol by one of his friends, and he is constantly sort of in a state of drunkenness. We meet all of Sportscoat's friends from the local church, from his normal friends, for people that he works with. We also learn about how this act of shooting at this young kid sort of is viewed by everybody else in the community. And also sort of like the police come in, and it sort of becomes this investigation into different things. It's hard to explain because I don't want to give anything away, but there's a lot. There's a lot that goes into this book. This is, to me, if you like novels that really focus on really developing a sense of community, all of the characters are so well placed and described and vital and vibrant. Even periphery characters where you think you're only going to see them for a few pages become so very real. And there's also sort of like this... I'm going to use the word mafia, but that's not the right word. It's sort of like this underground drug dealing component to it. So it has sort of like a mystery thriller vibe at times, but it's really about the people. I loved this book. I'm having a hard time describing it now that I've already read it. What I'll say is go into this book with an open mind and sort of start it realizing that you're going to learn a lot about this community, and then get caught up in the plot. The plot becomes fun and entertaining. There's some relationships that are really different and eye-opening, and you learn just a lot about people. There's such heart to this book. And in the same time, it has to do with different socioeconomic factors that lead to decisions being made by the people that live in this community, and the many different things this takes place at the end of the 60s, early 70s, that had to be done. I think it takes place in 69, if I'm not mistaken. It is fabulous. It's absolutely fabulous. I highly recommend it. 5-star read, whatever you need to hear from me to pick up this book. That is Deacon King Kong by James McBride, out now from Riverhead. Okay, the next book that I just finished is for my book club, and that is Night Theater by Vikram Paralkar, and this is out from Catapult. So again, I realize now sometimes you read a blurb and you try to describe a book based on the blurb, and you find out once you've finished it, there's so much more to the book. So this is the story of a physician who lives in a tiny town outside the main city, 2 hours or so outside the main city in India. We sort of get introduced to him. He's sort of a grouchy old man running this clinic for the community. We don't really know why he's there, but he doesn't come off exactly personable, but he's got that grumpy old man, but he's taking care of people. Okay. One night, all of a sudden, this family arrives, a teacher with his pregnant wife and their young son. And it turns out that they have been attacked and killed, and they tell the doctor that they've been given an opportunity to come back to life. However, in order to do so, the doctor must fix their physical wounds that were the cause of their death. And he has an assistant that works there, and her husband, they decide to do this. They decide to try to help this family come back to life. But as they do this, they realize more to the story. This book deals with a couple of things. It deals with past and history. Turns out we learn why the doctor is there, why he is not a doctor in the major city anymore, and what that sort of does regarding his reputation and how he looks at the world. We learn a lot. This book has a very interesting discussion regarding faith and the afterlife and what happens after that. And it just really creates this interesting dialogue between the science of saving lives and the religion behind how these people even get an opportunity to possibly live their lives again. It's also about relationships between people, between you and a stranger, between you and your families, and it just really dives into sort of this there's like this philosophical brilliance to the whole entire narrative that I found really, really compelling. There's not a lot going on in this book. We basically have these people show up, the doctor tries to fix them, there's an outcome. But in the same time, you're driven by their stories. I loved it. I think it is a fantastic book. I will read everything that he writes moving forward. And I want to thank Catapult for sending me this copy, and especially Elizabeth. I wanted to make sure I got the right lady over there at Catapult. They are so lovely to me. So that's Night Theater by Vikram Paralkar, and it is freaking brilliant. It's so good. Okay. Speaking of Catapult, I am currently reading another book from them, and that is Godshot by Chelsea Bieker. I'm taking this one a little bit slow because the topic of it is a little bit darker than my sort of psyche can deal with, but here's what I'll say. Okay, this is the story of a young girl who lives with her mother in the Imperial Valley of California in a desert, dry, drought-ridden place that has been sort of taken over by a religious cult. Her mother is, the religious leader says that once you are a woman or you are, you've had your period, you can be put on assignment by the religious leader. And all of these people have different assignments and they can't speak about them. Our main character's mother is put on an assignment. That assignment leads her out of town. And then something happens that gets her mother kicked out of the community. And we have the young girl there now by herself living with her grandmother, who has her own wacky things going on in this community where we slowly but surely start to learn that this leader does not have the best interest of these young girls in mind. And what it becomes is a discussion on motherhood. Motherhood, not only from this young girl's relationship with her mother, who she does is trying to figure out where to go, but also motherhood within herself. And I'm going to leave it at that. But she has to come to terms with what the idea of motherhood means to her. It is beautifully written. It's sort of got a nice feel, a very rustic. I don't know that that's the right term. I say if you like books like Girl Child by Tupelo Hossman, books that have sort of a real sense of reality as they deal with tough but topics, and their main characters are tough young women. I hope that makes sense. It is just really good, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So that's Godshot by Chelsea Bieker, out now from Catapult Books. Okay. Now, I've only just started this book, so I don't know much about it. So this is called The Silence of the Wilting Skin, and I am going to hold the author's name up there for you. And I'm not even going to try because I know that I'm going to butcher that. But this comes from Pink Narcissus Press, and I read a review of this, I want to say, in Publishers Weekly. So I've just started it, so I'm going to read the back so I can get it. It says, in an African city, a nameless young woman living in the wards slowly begins to lose her identity. Her skin color is peeling off. People are becoming invisible, and the city plans to destroy the train where they bury their dead. In the wards, the dream skin people walk the land to predict a citizen's death. After the narrator is given a warning by her grandmother's dream skin, things begin to fall apart. Struggling to hold on to a fluctuating reality, she prescribes herself insomnia in a desperate attempt to save her family. So what I've learned is basically these dream skins, sort of like this dream version of yourself, comes and tells you when you're going to die. And in our main character's case, instead of telling her grandmother when she's going to die, the grandmother's dream skin comes to her and gives her a prophecy, more or less, or a warning. Let's use that word. That's a better word, a warning. And that causes her and her whole life to sort of derail. What's really interesting is that all of the dead are kept on this train, and you have to pay to keep your dead on this train, and their ghosts and their beings on this train. I'm very interested to see how that sort of works out in the narrative structure, but I'm enjoying it. It's definitely different than I expected, but I'm intrigued. So that is The Silence of the Wilting Skin by Tsamaase. I'm saying that absolutely wrong. Out from Pink Narcissus Press. When is this coming out? I should have looked that up. I'm sorry. I do not have a date on this when it is coming out. It is coming out this year. But yeah, interesting. I'm definitely into it. Okay, so 2 books that I'm going to be reading next are The Barker House by David Moloney. This is an interconnected collection of short stories about 9 people who work in a correctional facility, told from multiple different perspectives. I've actually ordered my own copy of this book. I'm waiting for it to come in the mail, so that's why I'm waiting to read it. But I'm super excited about it. This is out from Bloomsbury. I love books that are interconnected short stories. I've never read anything from the angle or perspective of people who work as correctional officers, and I know that David has a history in that, so I'm super excited to get to Barker House by David Moloney, not Baloney. Barker House by David Moloney, and it is out now. You can get your own copy if you would like to from Bloomsbury. Okay, and last but not least is a book that I'm probably going to pick up next very soon. It's there. And that's The Subtweet by Vivek Shraya. And this is out from ECW Press. And this is basically, so one, I love this cover, and I love the fact that this is about a tweet, but she's holding this 1980s phone. I love everything about that. So this is the story of 2 artists, 2 musical artists who create a friendship by creating music together. Unfortunately, one of their careers does this and one of their careers does that. So one of them tweets something that destroys everything. And the way it says on the back, it says, with a single tweet, their friendship implodes. One career is destroyed and the 2 women find themselves at the center of an internet firestorm. So that is The Subtweet by Vivek Shraya. And this is out now also from ECW. And so this is kind of a stack of what I've read, what I'm reading, and what I plan to read next. I hope some of these books also wind up on your guys' TBR. As always, if you are a return subscriber, I thank you so very much. I could not absolutely do this without you. You are the reason I come back to do this. If you are new to my channel, I hope you stick around. I hope that you like to talk about books, and we should talk in the comments below. And if, as always, gosh, Rusty here. As always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.